Everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of my Project Gojo 2027, where I am undertaking the ambitious project to get in the best shape of my life, to look like one of my favorite anime characters, to then be able to perform and record his pivotal fight, which is going to be one of the greatest in all of fiction. Now, today I wanted to talk a little bit more about why this project is ambitious for me personally. I'm going to start off by giving a trigger warning here, which is I'm going to be talking about feet, like a lot. Not because they're my thing, although no shame for you if you're into that. No, I'm going to be talking about them because they are quite literally the ground floor of this project, the starting point of Project Gojo. Now, I mentioned before that this whole idea started when I wanted to get in the shape to achieve the physique of Satoru Gojo from Jujutsu Kaisen. But that's actually the easiest part of the physical side of things. It essentially comes down to looking good in a black compression top by having broad shoulders, well-defined chest and back, minimal body fat around my abs, and a nice tapered V down to the waist. Now, where this project begins to get really ambitious on the physical side for me is that I need to develop athleticism that I currently don't possess. For one, I'll need to drastically increase my cardio over time, improve my mobility and coordination, and I'm planning to take up boxing and some other activities to convincingly portray the hand to hand combat scenes. Think about it for a split second, and you'll realize that that is a lot of time spent on my feet. Was born with a birth defect called club foot, which is where the Achilles tendon is unnaturally short and the feet are pulled inwards. It's actually pretty common. Something like one out of every 1,000 babies is born with a mild form of it that's usually corrected either manually or with some small surgeries right after they're born. My case, however, was apparently like the most severe that the hospital I was born at had ever seen. So I required a number of small surgeries on each foot and had to wear casts for several months after I was born to help recorrect my feet into a more natural position. You can see here some photos of me looking absolutely adorable in the casts used to correct those feet. So I still have these scars you can see running alongside both of my feet here. And I have very restricted mobility in my ankles in all directions. Try just pointing and flexing your feet and see how much further you can get than I can. Now, I've always loved being physically active, but I was slower and unathletic than most of my peers growing up. Things like running and swimming have always been challenging. Being in motion, like walking, is fine, but if I'm just standing still and upright for more than a couple of minutes, I begin to feel a lot of pain and tightness. So, consequently, my feet and ankles have been weak and stiff for a very long time. And that stiffness has caused the rest of my body to be weak in some areas and overcompensate in others through my knees and hips and even up into my back. I started working with a coach last year to begin addressing some of those weaknesses and have been mostly pain free for quite a few months now. I can deadlift and squat again, though not very heavy yet, because we've been focused on gradually waking up the small muscles in my feet and ankles and improving stability first and foremost to be safe. As an example, a year ago, I couldn't even get over this dog gate to my kitchen without having to brace against the doorway with both hands. That's how bad my ankle stability was. Now, I can go back and forth many times a day, even holding things with no issue. And a year ago, I was ready to be satisfied with even that pretty, low level, moderate level of improvement. But then I wanted to do more things. I want to go backpacking in the mountains with friends. I want to be able to stand up on a paddleboard at the lake or the river in the summer. And I want to fulfill a childhood dream of looking like an anime character. I decided to make this the second episode for two reasons. One, a part of me is actually scared that I won't be able to see the kind of improvement in my ankle mobility that would make Project Gojo remotely possible. And it's also scary to be talking about this on the internet right after I announced my project. However, I have a belief that the more that we talk about things that worry us, that scare us, the less power they have over us. And if I can clear that fear off of my chest, then I can put that energy into overcoming those limitations instead of ruminating on them. And the second reason I decided to talk about this now is because on the other side of that fear is something else. It's a competitiveness. It's a desire to win. I want to see just how far I can get by applying myself. And at the end of this project, when, not if, but when I have something to show for it, I want everyone to know exactly where I started and what it took to achieve those goals. Um, that's all for this episode. In the coming weeks, I'll get more into what specifically I'm doing training wise for both the ankle mobility and the physique goals. Big shout out to my dad for giving me good critical feedback on the lighting. Hopefully, it was much better this time. I'd appreciate all your support. So, if you'd like to follow along on this journey, please like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all next week.